What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, bringing you another duel from locals. So on the left hand side we've got myself playing Regenesis Kashtira, and on the right we have Blue Eyes Primite. So this is the last round of the day. Starting off with Regenesis code, which allows you to special summon a Regenesis from the deck. You send it to the graveyard during your opponent's end phase, and you are locked out of the extra deck from this point on. That's going to get met with a Fluoros, which will mean there'll be a guarantee of a draw 1. Now usually what I try to do with the Regenesis code is activate it during the draw phase, because then if you do go into Archfiend, you'd get the search of Archfiend, and then it means you're kind of playing around drawing Lotbird. Now in this scenario, I believe I opened up 2 Archfiends and a Sage, so I've gone directly for Dragon, as I know Dragon could be quite good in the Blue Eyes matchup. We reveal the Regenesis Sage in the hand to summon down the Regenesis Archfiend to search out a card. The play at this particular point would be to try and work into Regenesis Lord, summon Regenesis Lord down, and then get access to the Regenesis Trap card. So you're just basically adding more layers to the field. We're going to be special summoning down Sage, we're going to be setting 1 card, and we're pretty much going to be passing turn there, just explaining what each of the cards do. Obviously Dragon lets it tribute itself to then banish a spell or trap your opponent controls. Sage lets you tribute another Regenesis to basically negate anything that gets activated. And at this particular point, we're looking at Regenesis Archfiend being basic fodder. So we've got 1 card in the hand, 1 card set, Fluoros and Imperm were activated, and keeping in mind as well that the code has a nice graveyard effect that you can banish it to special summon back one of your banished Regenesis monsters. Now, in an ideal scenario, I would have liked to have bitten a bit more. It looks like we're going to be starting off with Drill Beam, revealing Primite, just to get rid of the Sage straight away. Now at this point, obviously, I have the ability to send the Archfiend to keep the Sage, but I mean, I'd be sacrificing the Omni Negate one way or another. So I kind of think about it a little bit, and I'm like, well, I've got Regenesis code in the graveyard. So if I just let the Sage get banished, it's actually a lot easier for me to bring that back. Yes, of course, I could banish the Archfiend, and then I could bring that back as well. So it didn't really make much of a difference what went. Sorry, not banish the Archfiend. I would have sent the Archfiend. So I actually felt it was better to have a banished Regenesis than anything else. I obviously felt quite comfortable with the route of plays. Like, we know Beryl's here. We know that Beryl's going to lead into, well, we'll be able to reset the Drill Beam for starters. Then we've got the Lordy Load. So the idea is I kind of want to hold the Dragon back to deal with the Drill Beam now. It's either the Dragon deals with True Light, which my opponent already knows is a massive threat, or it tries to deal with Drill Beam. So if I have enough to stop my opponent getting access to, True Light, then I should be in a relatively good position. So in this position, because they've already started with Primite Beryl, go into the Blue Eyes Spirit Link 1. Now I can either stop them getting to Mausoleum, which means that they won't get their additional normal summon, which can be quite useful, because then it means Sage is stuck in the hand. It means they have to have hard opened up Maiden in order to go anywhere. And then it also means, so it also kind of means that I know they've got a Beryl. They've searched out a Beryl. I know they've got access to Blue Eyes. So it's kind of like locking everything off. I also don't want to negate all of the effects of dragons. Not that it makes a big difference in this position, but if you ash the Blue Eyes Spirit, then it means they can't bring back the Maiden. They have to get rid of it. So that's why I've ashed it, so that they're still kind of technically dragon locked, which means it's not as easy to get Maiden back out the graveyard if they do have it. So, and it's one of the ones that if they go for True Light, or if they did a hard open up the Maiden, they get access to True Light, it means that their next play needs to give them access to like a Blue Eyes. So if I just get rid of the True Light, there's not really a lot going for it. So it looks like we're going Lordy Load, which you get out of Blue Eyes, and in this particular position now, it looks like it would just be Seals. So the Dragon can deal with Drill Beam. That's one thing I don't need to worry about afterwards, and then all I need to deal with is the Seals. And I'm going to be able to deal with Seals very early, because you can banish Code to bring back the Sage, and straight away they either let that resolve, and then I bring back the Sage anyway, or they would bounce the, make the Seals to bounce, like they have to preemptively use the Seals to bounce. Otherwise, as soon as Sage hits the board, I've got 3 monsters on the field that will be 2500 attack, because when I use Dragon in the end phase, it comes back to my hand anyway. And then that's going to be like 7500 damage. So anything else that I have may be a little bit more damaging on this one. So it looks like we've got Seals, we've got Blue Eyes in the grave, we're shuffling up. We know we've got the Drill Beam, and there's no way that I let that Drill Beam stay on that field. There's just no way. So end phase Dragon, deal with the Drill Beam. Now, this is my mistake on this one. I said it destroys, it doesn't, it banishes the spell. So technically Drill Beam should be banished, which is obviously a lot better for me because it means Drill Beam's not going to get recycled. So we start with draw phase, standby, main phase, banish the code to bring back the Sage. That is allowed to happen, which now means I've got my Omni Negate live. We already have the Omni Negate live anyway because we've got the Dragon in the hand, which can be the other Regenesis sent. We top deck the Regenesis for turn. So we're going to activate the Regenesis, and this is going to allow me, as I'm mentioning here, I can add a Regenesis monster, or I get to add a monster that has 2500 attack and defense if I already control a Regenesis. So in this scenario, if I've got another 2500 Regenesis in the hand to reveal, which I do in the form of Dragon, I can work my way into another Archfiend, summon down the second Archfiend. Archfiend can then work me into Lord. Lord then becomes like a 5k mini boss monster. So it just depends on how far you want to push. So reveal the Dragon, summon down the Archfiend, Archfiend's effect. Kind of tempting a hand trap. Like if they do hand trap at this point, you're like, oh, okay, whatever, we kind of roll with it. And then it's kind of, do you go for Lord to push that extra bit of damage? But then as soon as you go for Lord, it is the most threatening card on the field. There's no doubt that Seals bounces that Lord. So it kind of does make it a little bit awkward. At this moment in time, I was kind of predicting that Seals would go into either Ether Beryl, which he technically doesn't need to do because he's already got 2 copies. He's got one in the grave, one in the hand. Or that goes for Bestial Magnamute, because then Magnamute would then get a search for the follow-up. So I'm trying to kind of navigate around there. So with the Regenesis Archfiend, we add the code. Because we used codes, you can only use each effect once per turn, and you can only use the graveyard effect not the turn that it's been sent. So technically, what I'm doing here is I'm keeping hold of the Regenesis code so that I can activate it during the battle phase. I got a little bit greedy here. I was trying to push for game all in one turn. Trying to do the maths on this one. So we summoned down the Dragon. Then the idea was I was trying to bait out the Seal. So as soon as I go battle phase, that's 10,000 damage on the field. Now, one would be returned to the hand unless I wanted to Sage negate. So we are in the battle phase, and it would be, I'm trying to think, like, do I go for something like do I go for a Typhon? But that just doesn't really do anything, because I'll go Typhon, they just go cool, Seals, return. I suppose the only benefit of doing something like a Typhon is that it does force the Seals to happen in the main phase, which might have been the smarter play, because then if I go to Typhon, Seals would then be forced to do in the main phase when I try to use Typhon's return effect. It returns a card to the hand, and then the best card you return to the hand would be the Archfiend. But then there would be nothing left on the field, and I'd go, okay, cool, just summon down. I'd still only get 7,500 damage on the field though. Yeah, because otherwise you'd go, if you go code into Warrior tributes itself off to return the Blue Eyes. There's still only 7,500, and I'm already. The other thing that I was trying not to do is I was trying not to extra deck lock myself, which is why I'm trying not to use the code right now, because the whole idea was if I can get enough damage on the field, then at least in main phase 2, I can try and work it. So we were just kind of considering, do I want them to return a card? And I'm like, well, if I let them return the card, the chances are they're going to return the Sage, and I'd rather have the Sage on the field so that I can save it for the next turn. Even though if they return the Sage to the hand, I would have then been able to use the Sage, like summon the Sage down in main phase 2. So it didn't really make much of a difference in this kind of scenario, because one of the Regenesis attacks, and what I realised was I couldn't make Flare Metal Dragon because I only have Dragon, which is an 8, Archfiend, which is an 8, and then 1 Sage. So I needed another 7, which of course is Warrior. So I haven't really looked into the new Regenesis cards as of yet, the ones that we get in the next set. But I'm hoping we get like more level 7s. Kind of want like a level 7 that you play at 3 of the same kind of consistency as Archfiend. I might have a look at that now. I know they've definitely got a new card, but I haven't really looked to see if it's like a new boss or anything too specific, to be honest. We still have to attack the Blue Eyes. We've still got code, so it really kind of comes down to, do I want to save code for during my opponent's turn, or do I want to save do I want to kind of like do it in the battle phase? And ultimately it's like, if I do it in the battle phase, I still have that monster that can become a threat. So we're going to attack with the second Archfiend, kill the Blue Eyes because it's 0/0 as it came off as Seals. We're then going to attack for 25 off of the Dragon, attempt to attack for 25 off of the Sage, and then it really kind of comes down to, do we code to get the other 25 on the field? It should put us in a fairly decent position, but I know that, and again, this is my mistake because we didn't banish the Drill Beam. I know that Primite Ether Beryl's coming back during the standby phase, and then I also know that the drill beam will be recycled in this particular scenario. Like, of course, knowing that I should have foolishly banished it, but these were new kind of cards to me, would kind of be like would give me a lot less to worry about. But you'll ultimately see that it's not a big issue. So the new card is Regenesis Pentaku. If you control a monster with 2500 original attack or defense, target a card your opponent controls, or you can target 2 if you control Regenesis Lord, banish that card or cards. If this card's in the graveyard, set the turn card it's sent there, you banish it. Special summon 1 monster with 2500 attack or defense from the hand. It's cool, but it's a normal spell card, so a little bit slow because it can't be used in the same. You can only use each effect once per turn, but it can't be. You can't do the banish effect except the turn it was sent there. So yeah, it's basically just a nice little removal, but you have to have Regenesis Lord, and I don't really like it when it recycles around a one-off card. Anyway, so we went into Warrior. Warrior did the additional 25. So at this moment in time, now what we've got is we've got a Warrior to return a monster. We've got a Sage, which is an Omni Negate, which will send the technically the Archfiend. And then we've got, all of these will recur during the end phase as well, which is really kind of useful to hold on to these effects during your opponent's turn, not during your turn. Unless you're going to be able to push for the OTK or the game. We've still got that one set card that's been set since turn 1. Obviously, in turn 1 for my opponent, it wasn't worth utilising as of yet, so it's still kind of this when to use it, the most effective one. We know that we've got a Beryl. As soon as Beryl hits the field, another way that we can kind of deal with it is Beryl is the normal summon. So I think the contemplation, as we see who goes for the Sage, is the contemplation here is if you normal summon the Beryl, if the Beryl gets returned with Warrior, you don't get the Drill Beam, you don't really get anything. You can use Lordy Load to get you another Blue Eyes, but that's it. And Blue Eyes can't go into the Link 1. The Blue Eyes would just be a 3k monster. Yes, it could attempt to try and attack something, but then if they try to use Lordy Load, I've got Dragon to deal with it. So, normal summon Sage, use the effect. I'm like, I really don't want you getting Maiden, so we're going to activate the Imperm. If they do try and use anything here, like it now allows me to save the Sage for the Maiden. I've got the Dragon for the Lordy Load. There's no additional summon coming down unless they've hard opened up Mausoleum. And we've pretty much still got the Warrior intact. So it's one of the ones that you kind of force your opponent to go to the end phase. Once it gets to the end phase, that's when you want to start. If they've left anything on the field, that's when you want to start popping off your Regenesis because they're all going to be coming back anyway. So I decide, just in case they do get to Mausoleum, to use the Warrior to return the Sage. I now know they have no way to get to the Link 1. I know that they've, like, the best thing they can do is Lordy Load. And it's like, okay, well, the only way that I would let that, like, you can let that go through. It puts the Blue Eyes on the field. But then it's like, okay, cool. Have they hard open up the Maiden? If you hard open up the Maiden now, you go for True Light. And then I'll probably, like, you could probably Sage it. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. So then you've dealt with the Maiden, you've dealt with anything else. So we're going to set one card here. We've still got the Sage that deals with that one set card, so that is not a threat, and pretty much I'll only just scoop up and go to game 2. Because they're all just going to recur into the end phase, and I only need to get 500 more damage. So my opponent gets to go first. They go normal summon Sage. Sage's effect to search. Pretty much fun on this one. Like, my hand's not the best, but you will see shortly that there is one card that puts in a heck of a lot of work. But we kind of go from there and work it round. So Sage into Maiden, Maiden, Ditch. It's also going to get access to True Light, just going through the timer and life points and everything else in between on this one. So there's the True Light access. You've still got loads more to play, like, without having direct access to, I mean, no Droll. Well, yeah, Droll could have been used previously. Depends on what else there is. This is my only, like, gripe with the Primite version. It's like, Beryl's so good and the recursion of Drill Beam is so good, but Sage is also so good. The hard open up on the Mausoleum is not ideal, but at least with that you get the additional normal summon. We're going to be using the Mausoleum to target the Sage, which will send Blue Eyes, which is, again, really good, because then if you use True Light, you bring back Blue Eyes, you'll bring back Maiden. And technically, if you wanted to, this could be, like, extra spicy. If they wanted to side in, like, a Secret Village of Spellcasters, you can go into, like, Ancient Fairy Dragon and into Crystal Wing, which would be really funny, because then it's like, not only do you spell lock me, because you'd have Crystal Wing, and then you have the ability to bring it, but anyway, they get a little bit greedy. They try to activate True Light. We're going to Ghost Ogre the True Light, and I talked to them afterwards. I was like, was that worth the risk? And it was kind of like, the one that they decided to get a bit greedy is that they wanted to use True Light to get the additional normal summon. They didn't want to lose the additional normal summon, and it ended up costing them. So the plan was to go True Light, set Wishes, activate Wishes, discard a card, grab Majesty, grab like an additional normal summon, like another Sage, and then additional normal summon Sage, search out and everything else, and that kind of really cost them on this one. Just risk and reward. So we're going to go draw phase. We're going to start off with Lightning Storm, just in case that back row is a Drill Beam. It's like, yeah, I can't really afford that. If it is a Drill Beam, then they trade a Drill Beam to keep the Mausoleum. If not, they lose everything. Now I've got a completely clear field. I can't think of, like, there'll be some hand traps possibly that I need to worry about, but we're just going to go here. So we're going to go straight for the Archfiend, revealing Sage again. Archfiend's effect, Attempt to Search. That's going to get hit with the... and this actually works out in my favour. This gets hit with the Purge, and I go with Planet Rice-Off. So as I've tried to do previously, when I'm trying to play around Drown Lockbird, like in this scenario, if I activate Rice-Off and search out Unicorn and my opponent drolls me, I have nowhere to go. Whereas if I go Archfiend, Archfiend searches out Sage or the trap card or code or anything like that, and they droll me, I still am able to present more monsters to the field. So that's why I go down that way. And in this scenario, because Purge then destroyed because there was True Light in the graveyard, it actually benefited me more than anything. So we're going straight for Unicorn. Unicorn's going to search out Theosis. There's only one card in the hand. I know it's not Droll by this point after I searched out the Unicorn. I know it's not Ash because they would have stopped me getting to Unicorn. So we're going to go for our Fenrir. Fenrir's going to search out another Unicorn for follow-up. This is, as I mentioned in the profile, while I'm like tempted to play a Tearlament Kashtira or a Scareclaw Kashtira, but you just never know. So this one's, I believe it's Sage. Apologies for the glare on this one. So we get Sage down because there is Unicorn with 2500. We're just trying to figure out the amount, the maximum amount of damage on this one. So at the moment we've got 5k with Unicorn and Sage, and I have now literally just completely remembered that the next play is all completely illegal because I completely forgot the Theosis XYZ locks you. So I went into an XYZ play, which is completely fine, but I totally forgot that I'm XYZ locked. So for the next play you're going to see, I apologise. I like massively forgot about the XYZ lock. Very stupid of me. I was so worried about I was like, I haven't used code this turn. I definitely haven't used code, so I'm not locked from the extra deck, right? And I'm like, right, okay, cool, I can go to the extra deck. And then I completely just shut off that I was XYZ locked because I used Theosis. So this part is all legal. I get 2 tokens. Absolutely fine. Happy days. This part, completely illegal. So apologies on this one. 2 spiders, like illegal, all illegal. Into Crystal Heart, bring back Spider, go into Heat Soul. Completely illegal, guys. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to reiterate this so I don't get flamed. Ultimately, the end field still would have been enough because they would have had to deal with Sage, Unicorn, and Fenrir with 1 card in hand, no Primites recycling, and we know that 1 card isn't anything useful. So at this moment in time, there would have been an Earth, a Water, and then Wind on the field. So it would have been 28-28 twice. This is ultimately OTK because of the Heat Soul, which is completely illegal. I'm just going to reiterate. Completely illegal. This field should not be the way it is. If anything, it should be Mecha Phantom Beast with 2 tokens and a Sage. Like, at the base minimum. So I do apologise for that one. That's not legal at all. But with hindsight, I think the duel would have still been over because for 2 cards to have to deal with a Fenrir, so like normal summon, use any effect, that's going to get hit with Fenrir. Unicorn's going to look at the X deck. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. See you next time. As absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.